Blessed Day Reflection by Abia listeners. My name is Abia Grant, and we are here to reflect on our life journey. We will be discussing topics related to self-awareness, self-improvement, and mental health. Also, the purpose of this safe space is for us to be free to discuss the ups and downs, celebrate the wins, and talk about ways to improve the lows. So welcome to this podcast, and I hope you gain something from this time we share together. Hey everyone, how you doing? It is your girl Abia Grant. Welcome back to Reflection by Abia. I hope that you are having a wonderful and blessed day. So, at the time of recording this podcast episode, let me get my words straight. It is September 11th, so I just wanted to basically take a moment to honor the people who passed on September 11th. It's been some trying years, and a lot of people have lost loved ones. Losing a loved one can be such a devastating experience. So I wanted to take a moment and honor those people. So I'm going to be silent right now. So thank you for taking a moment with me to honor those who have lost loved ones. In this episode, just jumping into this episode, I wanted to talk about a topic that is very impactful to who I am, things that I'm trying to change about myself, and that is emotional outbursts. And when I say emotional outbursts, it's the tendency to react to things that I can't control, to things that I don't have a sense of understanding. And this is a very tough conversation for me to have because, I'm putting how can I say, my faults out there. But I know that if I am going through that, then possibly there's someone else out, there who may be listening to this podcast episode who is going through the same thing as well too. So talking about it may just help. So that is what this podcast episode is going to be about. It's going to be titled From Anger to Calm, Learning to Control Emotional Outbursts. But before I go ahead and get into this week's podcast episode, I want to start off with the housekeeping rules. So if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, be sure to hit the follow and notification button so Spotify lets you know when I release a new episode. As well, leave me a comment on what you enjoy about the podcast and give me a 5-star rating. This is how you can support my podcast. The disclaimer is I am not a licensed psychiatrist or therapist. My suggestions and my guests are based on general knowledge and life experiences. If you're considering making significant changes or dealing with personal issues, seek and talk to a licensed mental health professional. So, as I said, emotional outbursts is a trait of mine that I do not like. I want to say the reason why I wanted to explore this topic is to pretty much get a better understanding on why I'm being triggered and trying to recognize when I'm having these outbursts. Now, one of the other things that I am trying to implement is emotional regulation, and introducing that into my daily routine, since it's common in my life that I'm going to deal with decisions that I have to make. But just to tie a little bit into emotional regulations, some examples of that can be deep breathing, stepping away for air, being mindful, focusing on the now situation, and then as well accepting what is being asked of me and me knowing that I will find the results, you know. Now, I feel like at the top of the list, we have to gain a better insight on our triggers. So now for me, what is the biggest issue is me feeling like I am being left out. As well, especially if it's a task based situation, feeling like I'm missing the key pieces. And I want to say also during that time, I feel like I am being unheard. Now, the thing is, how my mind works is that I am the kind of person where I need guidance and I need feedback in order to just adequately do anything well. I cannot operate off of just a little bit of information. Now, some people may be different, but I cannot do that. I need to know beginning, middle, and end. What are you asking me to do? What information, do you need? What do you expect for the result to be? So, I wanted to tie this into a task. Because, like I said, most times these emotional outbursts happen when I am trying to complete a task. Now, I want to just say off, the rip that, or off the bat, that emotional outbursts can be related to your relationships. It can be related to your work environment. It can be related to a partnership. As I said, relationships, before friendships and etc. So it's not like an emotional outburst is only subjected to this particular category. It's kind of like something that can affect multiple aspects of your life. And for me, I do feel like it has affected multiple aspects of my life. And for me, I just don't like being in that state. Normal times I feel like after I've done had that outburst, I'm upset at myself for having that outburst. And I'm thinking about what did I say? And I'm thinking about, you know, who did I impact? What does this person think about me? Especially if it's something where I can see that person's facial expression. That is the normal time in which I'm like, okay, I overstepped. But when I'm asked to do something, what is most often in my mind is that I think that I know, or I think that the person knows the goal in which they're trying to reach. And I feel like when you're coming to me to do something, you know how you want the process to go. And when I feel like I'm trying to accomplish whatever you want me to do, and it doesn't work out the way that you want it to work out, the person who is giving me the task to do, I start getting frustrated. And those are when the outburst happens. And then also, a lot of times, I feel like when I'm having this outburst, I have a tendency to not even ask questions. Or sometimes I feel like, you know what? I may ask questions, but in that moment, if I'm not getting the answer that I want, then it's kind of like, well, why is this situation this way? Why do we have to do it this way? Why did you not tell me this before you asked me to do X, Y, and Z if this is the expectation that you had for the task. And what I'm starting to realize is that sometimes people do are going to ask for you to do something, but they do not know how to do it. It's just that they may be coming to you because they feel like this is your expertise. This is something that you're good at doing. And that's the reason why they're seeking you out. So, what is common in most of these experiences, as I mentioned before, is that I'll feel frustrated. Now, just to let you know, if you have not listened to my podcast before, I suffer from anxiety. And frustration and control is a very big part of anxiety. And guys, I do apologize if you hear any background noise. There's some kids outside my house making a lot of noise. So I hope you don't hear that. But as I mentioned before, I suffer, from anxiety, and frustration is a common trait because with anxiety, the point is that you're trying to control the situation. And when you're getting anxious and cannot control the situation, that is when you are frustrated. You see how all that works hand in hand? But I think what I'm trying to do better at is being more logical. And saying to myself that this situation is difficult, but I'm able to do the task. And I would just want to be honest with you guys that I am not a spring chicken. I'm 41 years old, but outbursts do outbursts do happen. And just because I don't the thing is that when you have not dealt with past issues in your life, it's kind of like you don't know how to behave in this situation because you're used to projecting in this way when you don't get your way. So I just want to let you know that. And the thing is, I already am in a way kind of waving a finger at myself. Once you have a understanding of what is your triggers and you start implementing tools in order to change that trait or quality about yourself, then you're starting a good standing. So I figured that since I'm talking about this topic, it's very important that I showcase some healthy emotional tools that you can possibly use that I am going to be using in order to eliminate and eliminate. I don't want to say reduce because I just want to get rid of it. So I kind of have like this 7-step checklist, I guess you can say. You don't necessarily have to do all these steps. I may not necessarily do all these steps, but this is just a guide for me to follow to regulate my emotional behavior. So the first one is pause before reacting. Think about what you are going to say, how the person may interpret whatever you are saying to them. And I feel like this is very important because sometimes we are upset about a situation and we'll say something in the moment that we did not necessarily mean, but because we are in that reactive stage, everything just blurts out. And then afterwards, we're like, oh man, I should have had said X, Y, and Z. And then now you're having to go back and apologize to whatever you said. So pause before reacting. Now, the next one is timing. What emotional state is your body in? So this kind of goes into the pause before reacting. Are you getting heated? If you're getting heated, that means that you do not need to direct this energy to someone else. This is when you're going to use your emotional regulation as far as stepping away from the situation, going outside for air, doing something else that is going to bring your emotional state into a calm place, that you're able to have a conversation with a person without going off. Okay? Now, the next one I have is explaining. And this is when you say, I feel in order to complete this task, I need for you to provide me with this information. So, as I said, a lot of times for me, a lot of things are task based. So, and I'll feel like I'm not getting the whole information, or I'm not getting all the data, whatever it may be. I just can say, I feel that this information is not enough. So please provide me with X, Y, and Z in order for me to accomplish the goal of providing you the accurate results. Hello, everyone. Let's take a quick break. Join me in the upcoming discussion with Regina Renee, visionary and founder of Mindful and Melanated, an empowering community dedicated to uplifting and supporting Black women. In the upcoming episode titled Sis, What Do You Want? The Importance of Living Authentically for Your Mental Health, Regina will share her insights on how Black women can advocate for their own well-being and navigate their personal life with intention and purpose. Follow my Instagram and Facebook page, Reflection by Abia, for podcast details. And that's if you are in a calm state. If you're not in a calm state, you shouldn't even be going to this point. I'm going to be honest with you. So, the fourth one that I have, which is a big one, let go of control. If things don't get done as planned, it's okay. So now, on occasion, some of my tasks are partner based. Therefore, I feel like when they are partner based, I can rely on my partner to give me guidance, especially if it's a situation where they have done that specific task previously, or they have experienced something to deal with that. Maybe it's a daily thing that they're doing. Then I guess you could say this will be more in the workplace. Now, number 5 I have is, can you talk to someone who has no stake in that task and get their thoughts? Okay, so like for instance, in a relationship, say your partner's asking you to do X, Y, and Z, and you feeling like, you know what, they are not giving me all the information that I need. I am asking them questions, but they're really not helping me out. You may go to your friend and you may say, hey, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? Give me your thoughts or opinions about it. How do you think I should go about getting this done? Because again, with that person not having the stake in the situation, they may be able to offer you additional ideas in order to get whatever is requested done. Now, the next one I have down is write down your feelings. And then I put, this can be therapeutic. And this is something that I honestly keep saying that I'm going to do, that I'm going to journal and I'm going to write down my feelings, and I don't. And I need to do better in regards into this. But say for instance, again, you're dealing with a situation with a partner, or it could be something work related or friend related. You may not be able to state how you feel to that person about whatever is being asked of you. However, you being able to get it down on paper can be letting out those emotional outbursts. Because the goal is that you're not trying to have an outburst. Now, the next one that I have is putting your frustration into something creative. And for me, what is creative to me is music. I like, if I am frustrated, I listen to music. I listen to music in order to calm me down. Now, one of the other things that I have did at work is my job gave us yo-yos. So I have a yo-yo at my desk. And I know this sounds maybe to you, it could be sounding childlike, but however, me playing with the yo-yo at work when I am going through anxiety or when I'm feeling frustrated is I'm able to release those emotions into that creative outlet, and that is playing with this yo-yo. And it's same thing like if you have like a tension ball. Say, for instance, you're stressed out and you have a tension ball at your desk. So you're squeezing that tension ball, because you're trying to let out that stress. So those are just some ideas that I put together as, possibly offering healthy expression or tasks that you can do. Now, one of the things to keep into consideration is that your emotional outbursts can have consequences. And I don't really want to say that is I want to say it's a healthy thing to know. The fact of the matter is that you do not want people to feel like if they were to come to you and ask you of something that you're going to react, because you don't want that person to fear you. And I want to say, in my personal experience, dealing with a task that was at work, I had reacted to my partner, and their facial expression was, whoa. And I saw it. And even though she didn't say whoa, it still was a state of, okay, I made that person feel uncomfortable. And that was never my intentions. So that made me take a step back and say, hey, Abia, you need to correct this. This is not new. Like, what I'm talking about here is something that I am very aware of. This is not something that I recently have discovered about myself. And it hit me, with that situation, that although, yes, you've worked on many parts of yourself, you still have work to do. Now, also, in addition to that, the consequences can be your reputation. So if you're dealing, with a situation at work and your employer or your coworker asks you to, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? But they don't want to even come to you to ask you to do X, Y, and Z because you done let loose on somebody else. That's going to pull down your reputation. And then that is going to, management is going to find about it, and HR is going to find out about it. And that can possibly lead to further consequences. So this is something that you just want to always keep in mind when you're dealing with these circumstances. Now, I really want to address mental health, because as you know, this podcast is about mental health. And the emotional outburst for me, again, I can say my personal experience is a sign of my anxiety. However, what I'm trying to do and have this conversation with you right now is introduce ways to counteract my outbursts. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Reflection by Abia. Feel free to check out the podcast Facebook and Instagram page. The links will be available in the show notes. Let's get back to the podcast. And these tools that I showed you or listed above are things that I am going to be introducing. I'm going to actually print this out and put this on, not on my desk, but I'm going to print this out and I'm going to keep it in a little book that I have at my job. So when I am going through these, because it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. If when I'm going through an emotional um, feeling, I can take out my list and say, okay, do this and do this and do that. Because sometimes in the moment, you don't remember. So I am going to list these ideas in the show notes of the podcast. So if you want to jot them down, because you're also dealing with emotional outbursts, then obviously utilize them, for yourself as well too. So I figure, also with my mental health, if because I'm not in therapy right now, if this is something that continues, I am going to seek out a therapist again. Because I feel like if I cannot regulate this, even though I'm fully aware about it, then maybe they could offer other coping skills in order for me to deal with, how I'm feeling. Or maybe I'm going to need to get back on medication because, as you know, right now, I am not on medication. I'm just being very honest with myself because it's, again, not a trait that I want to, showcase. It's not something that who I want to be. So I'm hoping that I can avoid medication. I'm hoping that, therapy is always a good tool. So I don't want to avoid a therapist, but it's just right now I felt, or at least before this outburst, I felt like I was in a good place. But maybe I'm going to need to get back into therapy. But I'm going to give this a little bit of time and pretty much see how it goes. That is the plan. And I will keep you guys updated and let you know if it's happening again and how was I able to deal with the situation. Because it's not going to be, like I said before, it's not going to be an overnight thing. But I'm aware of it and I know that it has to be taken care of. So now, once I deal with these emotional outbursts, I've come to, because I say, okay, how would I know that, hey, you are better? You are not reacting. You are dealing with how you feel in the right way. And I feel like once I'm able to regulate my emotions, I will learn how to use them as a strength. And I think introducing these tools will allow for me to say, okay, yeah, I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z, but these are the positives of the situation on how I feel. I did not allow for myself to get to a state of stress, pretty much. And then also, I feel like it will offer the ability for me to adapt to the situation as well too, or adapt to different scenarios. Because I don't want to say, well, to be honest, I'm not good at adaptability. I'm really not. I am not good at change. I like things the way that they are. But I need to be more adaptable. Because in reality, nothing is going to remain the same forever. So I either get on the bandwagon and understand that, or it's going to be an issue in the long run. So that is pretty much where I'm at with this topic on emotional outbursts. And let me know if this resonates with you. If you are dealing with emotional outbursts and maybe you're looking for tools in order to, or strategies in order to work on yourself, let me know also, like, other tools that you're maybe using that's helping you. You could put them in the comments, because the comments should be on for Spotify. And they're allowing me to respond back to comments as well too. So that is a glorious thing. So that is pretty much where I want to leave the podcast episode at. So stay blessed out there in those streets. God willing, I will see you guys in the next podcast episode. And I think that's pretty much it, right? I think that's it. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye. Thank you for listening to Reflection by Abia. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about today's episode and share the podcast with your friends and family. The link will be available in the show notes.